All right, good morning, everyone. Dan here from tradingology.com in the trading room for Thursday, April 1st. Welcome to a new month, coming to you live from the New York Stock Exchange. How do you like that? Okay, April Fools, we're just kidding. But I thought it'd be a fun new background. So give me a heads up in the chat. If you can hear me, should be good to go. I'm assuming, Tom, that's you out there dialing in. So good to see you, Tom. Andre, good morning. We have, let's pull over our internals for a quick look. Dave should be joining us from Strong Market, I believe. I didn't get any notice, but we'll get the ball rolling. Hey, good morning, Andre. Thanks for hitting that up. So we see we're up definitely on the positive side of the internals, hovering around 1400 right now. Volume is tracking slightly up, not a ton, but we are seeing a potential downturn. So we'll keep an eye on those internals. As you guys know, we do watch those all the time. But it is a big day if you haven't seen it already. We'll pull over some of our sites here. We are breaking 4,000 for the first time on the S&P 500. So we got 4,006 right now is the current all-time high, 95 cents. So stop the presses. That's not April Fools. We're actually over 4,000. Look at the major gap up in the NDX as well. So tech's up almost 2%. SPX is just under 1%. And the Dow is over here is the laggard, just at 0.18% up. So everybody is green so far. We do have ill-formed, I'll call it, bullish herding that's forming. So we'll see how that turns out the rest of it, but we do have positive supply and demand numbers coming through with that new major new high. And we just got a couple new contracts, so there we go. As we do know, Thursdays we do have our unemployment report, so we'll quickly take a look at that. The forecast was 678, but it overshot once again. So last week they were happy with a report that came out lower. This week it is higher, so we're back to higher than expected. Still over 700,000 new unemployment claims. Not good news for those filing, but I'm sure the S&P is going to be across the board here. Yeah, Bloomberg got it. CNN's got testimony in the trial. They're playing with the voting rights that we've seen going on there. And back to CNBC. Yep, S&P on the top. Yeah, weekly, James, they have here the weekly claims are higher than expected despite labor market improvements. So they try and paint it good for us, as we know. And just looking down, it looks like Google's already looking at changing the way offices are used. So will that come into play for other businesses? Interesting thing to keep an eye on there too, because we know a lot of people have been working from home. A lot of businesses will be not going back to offices. So we'll see what happens there. And just looking at the futures markets, obviously we have the ES hasn't cracked 4,000 just yet. It's at 39.97, knocking on the door of 4,000 as well. So I expect to see some, there's probably a bunch of sell orders sitting there at 4,000, most likely. Let's see if I can see that guy anywhere. Yeah, we're not close to it yet, so I can't see the depth of market up to 4,000 yet. But we definitely have, well, obviously it is the most liquid ticker out there, so there's always a ton of orders. But as you guys know, we look for those big block orders. So we had lined up a deep dive look at the strong market swing signals. But since Dave isn't here, I'll just kind of cover it slightly. Maybe he rolls in a little bit after, but we did have a member asking about it. So I've pulled it up, and you can pretty much use this on any ticker, but I'm looking at the IWM right now just to pull up the SM swing signals chart here. And we see the last one is an up signal. This is typically, we use it on a daily and or a weekly chart because it's more of that long-term trending. So if I drop this back to a weekly, we can see there was back historically, the end of last year, we had an indicator that drew in after this week. Then we had a down week, and then shortly after that, it did reverse. So these will typically paint in following the week that's closing. Then we see the move went up. There was no signal at all for a reversal until January. After this week was done, then we did have a down week. But then it's been a little bit of back and forth since then, as we've seen the sideways chop. So it's nice when you can get one that trends for a long time. You know, you could have gone long however you wanted to, whether it was through options or micros or the stock itself, all depending on your risk tolerance. And you could wait until you see another signal to exit. Just one little down week, you would have rode through here, which would have been perfectly fine because you were already well above, on the IWM itself. That's a nice long-term trending signal. So I know a lot of our members are looking for more ways to not just do day trading, but do more swing trading. This is a fantabulous signal to take advantage of that, where it will paint in when it sees potential changes. And we have the trending markets is obviously the best case scenario. Let me pick a couple different tickers here. If you guys got anything in mind, Andre, throw it out. If you want to see anything in particular, I'll just throw in, just for out of curiosity, we'll throw in the Qs. We'll see what tech look like. Yes, Andre, it'll work on just about any stock. So you can use this for ETFs. You can use it for individual stocks. Let's put in, I don't know, Apple. Everyone looks at Apple first because it's the first in the alphabet. Everyone likes Apple. So we had a long-term, or I should say longer term, back in February, we had a down signal. And we definitely see there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, a good month and a half of downward movement. Now we've recently had an up signal. So there could be a possibility to go long Apple if that is your preference. We don't until we see another down signal. It could be the next week if it starts trading sideways still, but it is an indicator of this is what the latest indicator is up, that Apple's going to start going back up. You can look at it historically, and then obviously start watching it on for a few weeks on when it does exactly paint in, because it should never be early, but just watch when those arrows do actually appear and keep track of that. Anybody else you want to see? Pick a stock, Andre. Let's see. Let's just throw anybody. Who's other people's favorites? We could put in, I don't know. Let's put in like just gold for a second and see what it says on gold. I haven't even looked at this. So GLD, it gave us a warning that it was going to be going down. Also right around, silver, good idea. I'll do that one next. So here's a longer term down signal back in right around Christmas. Then it gapped up, but then that whole week was definitely down. It's been going down since then. And now we do have a new uptick in gold. So our gold fans will be happy to see that. And it is 2 up weeks there after that, pretty much sideways. And then we do see buying pressure with a long wick on this week. And if you guys didn't know it yet, today's pretty much the end of the week. We have a holiday coming up in the US on Sunday. So I believe it's completely closed, if not a shortened trading session tomorrow. So I won't be doing any trading on Friday. Give you guys a longer weekend. Go ahead and take the day off. Let's see what silver looks like. Silver ETF, not as long of a downturn. We had an earlier up signal, which did give you 2 weeks in a row here. Then we did have a down signal, which signaled that down week. And now we have an up signal painting in. So silver and gold both have the most recent swing signals to the upside. I've seen a few people calling out for 50 for the spot price once again. So we'll see if 50 goes or if silver makes it back to 50. This is for this ETF. So this isn't spot price here. So I think it's actually like 25 right now. If we look at like futures, let me pull that up. Yeah, 24,615 is the current futures contract. And this is what they're looking at going to 50. So that one is down. So the futures is still in the downtrend. So I would probably wait till those are in agreement. If you're looking at a similar commodity like that or futures or whatnot, wait till they're in unison would probably be a better bet if you have futures and an individual stock like silver. So that's a quick analysis of how you leverage that swing signal. Maybe we'll have a follow-up. It's already included, Andre. So you should, and I believe you have all the scripts from Strong Market. So these are available in the Strong Market tick and weekly package, I believe they call it, if I remember right. Let me see if I can pull up one over here. I'll show you in the client portal. That is going to be, I have a number of bundles, as I assume most of the members do, but yeah, I'll bring it up over here. So in your Strong Market portal, strongmarket.com/portal, you go into your downloads and updates. The swing signal that we're just looking at is in the SM scripts, tick and weekly. So which includes the price signals that we use more on a shorter term basis. but it does also include the swing signal. So it's called SM swing signals, just like you see here. So that's where you get that. It is available in this individual bundle, or if you get the complete market timer system, it's also included in all of those. So I have the full gamut loaded up on mine. So I have multiple pages. As we see that, the balance power spreadsheet, the premium scripts. So you don't have to dig through the premiums. That's where you'll find it, Andre, is in the SM scripts. And if anybody doesn't have that, shoot us an email at support@tradingology.com and we'll get you hooked up with the Strong Market team to get that in your tool chest. I use the price signals on a daily basis, and I'll probably start leveraging more of the swing signals on that, weekly to monthly basis more often. You can go longer as well. Obviously, the higher time frame, the stronger signals you get. So practice it. Look at it on different time frames. Look at daily, weekly, monthly. Then when they're in unison is when you're going to have your best setups, obviously. So if we're looking at the monthly, we still see that downtrend arrow on the monthly contract on silver. So let's change that back just for comparison to like IWM. That was the first one we were looking at. And there's the monthly is still in an uptrend. So just like we saw in the weekly. So there's 5 months. That's almost a half year of an uptrend. And we're kind of tracking similar here. So we'll see if we get another one, because we know we're all at top of the lines. And here comes our good friend Dave now. So we'll get him inside the door here and we'll see if he has anything to add. We'll have probably just a little bit of repetition, but obviously good to get his insights as well on these indicators since they came directly from him and his team. Yeah, Andre, I would say it's probably a good idea to see. I would lean more towards the weekly, and then if they're in unison, you're going to have better time frame. So good morning, Dave. Good to see you.
Good morning. Apologies.
Not a problem. I'm assuming you were just down the road here to see we're coming to you from on the stock exchange today.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. No, I had to run out for a few minutes, take care of an emergency, and I am back.
Gotcha. Well, I did my best at covering the swing signal, just leveraging, the latest ones, how we had, we went through a couple different tickers. Andre was asking if it's good for any stocks, and I pretty much covered, yeah, stocks, futures, different instruments it is viable on.
Right. Yeah, you want to wait for that signal to kind of finish the week out, and then kind of you have an idea of the next week what's going to happen. I'm sure you covered that already.
Yeah, I know. I was just recently covering different time frames, how you could put it on also a monthly, and maybe if you see things in unison for like a monthly and a weekly, then you could take that as your indication of a good event to take a trade off of, whether it's through an options trade, a stock trade, whatever kind of vehicle you're using for your investment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good swing trading indicator there.
So he's asking, how do you mean finish the week? So do the arrows wait until the close of the week, or will we see them the following week? When's a good time that we actually see these arrows print in?
They will print in during the week, but they'll flash on and off depending on what the market movement of the, if you're on a weekly, it's going to fluctuate. It might come in early in the week, but I would wait to the end of the week for a good swing setup.
Yeah, so we were just looking historically at like IWM here. We had a long-term one going back into October, but obviously we see there was almost 5 months of nothing but uptrend, and then we had a down signal paint in, which would have been a warning. So if this one painted in during this week, that was a fantastic warning.
Yep, it would paint in right at the end of that week. So that's a good warning system. Yeah, absolutely. Now, one question that I don't know if you covered this or not, but getting in on the next week. So, if you do get that down signal, where do you get in? It did look like that next week printed a little bit higher than the previous week. And then it declined, or it looks that way anyway. It looks like it printed a little bit higher the following week, and then it went down. So for your exact entry and exit points, it's kind of hard to say. All the signal is telling you is it's going to close probably lower. The probability is it's going to close lower than the previous week. So
is there any, well, you mentioned that, looking at it, obviously you're talking about printing here. Is there any reference to where these are printing on a scale? Like we see this is at 1.7, this is at a 5, almost 4.8. Is there anything does that come into play at all?
That's a good question, but what it does is it follows the price of that week, and I don't know if there's any real significance. Like if it's higher, does it actually mean that it's going to go a lot lower the next week? Or if it's close to the zero line, does it mean it's going to go just a little bit higher? I haven't seen any real pattern in that
Okay.
to see if there's strength or weakness. I mean, you can take a look at it, but like that one at the end of October, we had the one down week there, and it's fairly close to, it's not real close, to the zero line. The previous green one, the one just, yeah, see, that one was real close to the zero line, and we only had a little bit of a move up. We didn't have a really big move up. I don't know if I would really pay much attention to that. It's just the arrow. I think it's just the signal that you want to.
Okay, good. I figured I'd cover it because someone might ask later. I hadn't even looked at that, but it just dawned on me to wonder, because under the covers, it's similar to the shorter term
Yes,
price signals, but we're just not painting in bars. We're only looking at arrows leveraging this indicator.
that's right. Yeah, we want to see the paint.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm covering all the questions that we had. We had one member that's brand new to using these, so we figured we cover it for multiple members. If one member has a question, I'm sure 10 others do too as well.
So Andre says, so place the trade on Friday or Monday after the signal.
I think he's mentioning the same thing. So what's a good entry time when you see the signal happen?
I personally wouldn't do that, because let's say, you've got 5 days of trading typically the next week. You don't know where that high and low is going to be, right? So, if you wait until it goes a little bit higher than the previous week, might be a better entry, because then you have to select your stop loss points. I guess it depends what your risk tolerance is.
And one question we had offline related to this, and is it the same or is it different than that original MT VX2 signal? Was that just before it was named swing signals?
Yeah, that was a beta.
Okay, that's what I thought. It was the beta testing version name, but I wanted to confirm that. So that is the same one. So good to know there. And let me check his last questions here. And obviously one thing to keep in mind too, that I was mentioning with this trader, is never use just one indicator all on its own, right? Even though this says it's going up, no matter what instrument it is, no matter what you've seen in back testing or historical data, I'd never personally put all my eggs in one basket because of one thing. Just because this says green doesn't mean I'm going all in on long. Use it as a tool that collaborates with your other tools. When you see more things claiming the same outcome that you expect, that gives you the higher probability. So like the micro timer spreadsheet, when we see things that give a stronger bias one way or the other, and it lines up with the indicators, that's how you want to leverage these tools.
Yeah, definitely.
Andre says, you said before to wait for the weekends to consider the signal, which means you can only place the trade after the fact. I guess that, Monday.
That's right.
It depends on what you're trading, right? So if the market closes, you have 15 minutes if you wanted to enter a futures trade. Some people have, after hours trading capability, so you could buy a stock or an option after the bell. That is possible. So it's not just because that bell rings doesn't mean you're done for the week. You might have, there are some options to still enter trades if you deem appropriate, or most likely Mondays are going to be your better bet. And that's where you can always zoom into shorter time frames too to get a better entry. Because you get a good signal on like a weekly time frame, you don't just want to take a blind trade Monday morning, no matter where price is on whatever instrument you're trading. You can still zoom down, look at, hey, where's a good buy area on a shorter time frame to get your best bang for your buck. That's a good way to put it all together, Andre.
Yeah, because the week is going to have its own fluctuations. They're going to be higher or lower. Since you had that signal from the previous week, you're looking for that. Now you have an opportunity to look for a good entry point. So if the signal says down, you're looking for an entry point to go short in the next week sometime. The high may not be till Wednesday, or the low might not be Monday. It might be Friday or Tuesday. It depends. But if you know what the signal is from the previous week, if it's long, then you're looking for a long entry someplace. So you definitely got to use other indicators, but it does gives you a head up where the probability of that trade is going to be the next week. It's going to be higher than the previous close. So if you look at that close and you got a down signal, then you're gonna look for a spot to short the market. If it's a long signal, you want to look for a spot to go long the market. Yeah, exactly. So like that one, I mean, it traded up a little bit. It looks like it opened a little bit lower, but then it traded up a little bit. So you're looking for that entry to go short if you got that red arrow. And if it's a long entry, you're looking for that position on the next week where you can enter the long position.
And those both worked out perfect, and they both gave you a better opportunity the way you look at that. And you don't have to be perfect. There is no perfect entry and exit. Yeah, there's ways you can try and help time it, but I don't want people to think that, hey, if you missed the boat or whatever, or it's already gone, you're chasing things. Swing trading is less than day trading, where people like to day trade and get that FOMO of, oh, look, something's running away, and they jump into trading, and then it reverses the other way. That's all how people start, right? This gives you that advantage of, yeah, we get this weekly painted in here. Next week's going to be most likely be higher, probability say that, and it opens up, and it gapped up slightly. When we look at weekly charts, there, but yeah, it did trade back down a little bit. So anywhere you could get that entry. But yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, wherever that comes, if you miss a trade on Monday and you get in Tuesday and you're still not above the higher, you still have opportunities. So there's multiple ways. And I would just say practice it before you put real money behind it, just like anything else. And you get a feel for when they paint in and when you can take the action.
Yeah, and that week happened to close right on the high of the week. Closed up on a Friday. So you could have gotten in anytime during the week.
Definitely. So with that, if you got any further questions, let us know there. Let's see, he's got to confirm you with the monthly, time and daily, and entry with daily. Yep. So you go down to dailies, go down to like 1 hour for entries for like swing trades. You don't have to go down to like 5 minutes for swing trading, because there's way too much noise when you're doing swing trading. You don't care about the 5-minute chart. But yeah, I would probably say an hour would be something that I would key off of for looking at on the daily. And then the spreadsheet is a great one indicator. I haven't pulled it up yet. Let me pull it up just for today. Andre's asking if there's other indicators that you would kind of marry with these from a swing trading.
I would look at support and resistance levels, maybe not specific. I mean, the spreadsheet is a little bit for more longer term stuff, but I would definitely look at support and resistance. Trend lines don't seem to work that well, but support and resistance still seems to work pretty well.
Previous support, previous resistance, different ways of tracking
I would
that.
go down to a 1 hour, 4 hour, and just kind of look at those support and resistance areas.
Awesome. And just take a quick peek before we close out the week. No hurting at all yesterday. Another rare day that we hadn't seen since a month ago. So maybe they're doing 1 day a month where they do no hurting.
Yeah, maybe it's hurting day off.
Right. And that might be with, I wouldn't be surprised if that's with the holiday coming in and a little bit less trading. There might be people taking an early week off, seeing as I did give the heads up, Dave, I think before you came in. I'm going to go ahead and give you tomorrow off. No, you don't have to worry about trading. I think we're going to close the stock market here. So we'll wrap it up today.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to miss it though. It's going to be a long 3-day weekend. Yeah, so pretty much, I mean, historically, cyclically, everything typically goes up before a holiday. I don't know why. It just it tends to. I think thinness of the trade, optimism about the holiday. I don't know what it is.
And the big news for the morning: the SPY broke 4,000.
Yes, it did. Futures haven't quite caught up to it, but the futures, the ES hasn't quite caught up to that 4,000 level yet. A little lag there, but maybe we'll get it before the end of the day.
That's how I was mentioning. There's probably a whole pile of sell orders sitting there at 4,000.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe. Or buy orders. Who knows? Maybe
you never know.
Maybe there's a over optimism. Once they break 4,000, that's a new level on the SPY. But typically, when the market makes like those round numbers, 2,000, 2,500, 3, 3,500, 4. A little bit of an opportunity to sell there.
Yep, definitely. Well, with that, we'll close to wrap her up and end our first call for April. So watch out for the April Fool's jokes out there, guys. Mine was a sad one coming from the stock exchange, but whatever. I figured I'd do something fun. But look for us in the Slack channels. Got questions, shoot us emails. We appreciate you guys coming out. And Dave, as always, thanks for your insights.
Yeah, sorry again for being late, guys, but thanks very much. Have a wonderful holiday if you celebrate this weekend, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Take care, everyone.